Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar today. I feel like I've been doing these all week, 3 or 4 times a day. So I've been on 2 field calls today. I did the webinar yesterday. I have a call with the targeting units at the port level this afternoon. So we are doing a lot of outreach over the implementation of ACE for air this weekend. You can go to the next slide. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Bill Delansky. I am the product owner over Manifest and Exports, and this is going to be a big weekend for us here, as it will be for everyone. So as you know, you can go to the next slide, and go to the next slide. So for those of you who don't know, we have been working on air for quite some time. We started at the tail end of 2014, and so all of tail end of 2013, we spent all year in 2014 working on air. And we deployed our code to the production system January 3rd. And the idea was to deploy the code, run it in dual processing for a time, to find any bugs or system issues, anything we got wrong, and fix them before we went live on May 1st. So we deployed in January 3rd. We did run in parallel starting then. In March timeframe, we had the certification environment up for the trade to test with us. And we tested with them right up until May go live. We did do 2 deployments, one in March and then in May, our announced date for the transition to ACE. At that time in March, it was felt by the trade that enough certification testing hadn't been complete yet. There were some issues they were concerned about going forward with. We have addressed those issues, and they've had additional time to test with us. We moved the date from May 1st to June 5th for the actual go live date. So this weekend we are not deploying any code. We are only migrating the AMS data into ACE so that we can make ACE the system of record. We're also deactivating AMS at the same time. So the field has to use ACE in the processing of ACE manifest. Can you go to the next slide? So when I talk about this weekend and go live, the official date for the go live is Sunday, June 7th. But in prep for that, we have to do some work in the back end, and that will affect the systems. So on Saturday, June 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have to take Air AMS down. As a result of that, we also have to take ACS down at the same time. So what will be effective at 3 o'clock will be air manifest filings, entry release, entry summary filings in AES. We will also impact QXWX, air inbound processing, and IN processing for airbill queries. Those will end at 3 o'clock. We anticipate extracting at least a year's worth of data from the system. We anticipate that will take between an hour and 2 hours. So between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have ACS and AirAMS offline. Once the extract is completed, we will bring ACS back online. So we will again be processing entry release and entry summaries in ACS. Once we have that set up and in place, we will replay any entries that come in during that time. So if a broker has been submitting entries or entry summary information, it will be queued and ran right when we come back up. Air AMS will remain offline. QXWX also will not function past that 3 p.m. time frame. At 7 p.m., we anticipate taking ACE down. This is a 3-hour movement forward based on feedback from the trade. So we have talked to the trade, meaning the air carriers, of what would be the most convenient time for them to be outage window. And due to the fact that they have large sorts on Sunday morning, we have chosen to move that forward into Saturday and take the hit there, then extend into Sunday morning, where we traditionally expanded the ACE outage window. So at 7 p.m. we will take ACE down. That will take down air, but I shouldn't say air's already down. We'll take down ocean, rail, and truck manifest processing at the time. It will also impact ACE entry summary processing. All of those will cease at 7 p.m. It is possible that we may not take the system down as late as 8 p.m. on Saturday night. So the anticipation is 7, but it may last as long as 8 to take the system down. We will be down from then until 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday morning. They will then load 37 days worth of data into ACE. ACE will be the system of record when we come out of the window at 5. ACE will be sending all the replies back. All the air manifest, all the ocean manifest, all the truck manifest, all the rail manifest, and entry summaries will be kept in a queue and replayed upon coming out of the window. We will first play all the ocean, truck, rail, and entry summary data first and make sure those systems are working properly. Then we will play all the air data that we've captured since 3 p.m. Saturday. Keep in mind that that will take between an hour and 2 hours to run and catch up to real-time processing. So any data being sent to us during that time frame may take some while to get a response back. But by no later than 7 a.m., we anticipate being back on to real-time processing. We have encouraged the trade to submit any bill data to us ahead of the 3 p.m. cutover for air and ahead of the 7 p.m. cutover for truck, ocean, and rail. This data could be taken in from our system, processed, and messages generated back out if appropriate. And it will be available for the field to actually see that data and to target off that data ahead of the 7 p.m. cutover for ACE. If that's not possible, we will be in a downtime situation where we will be processing cargo for all those modes offline. So it's important that you get your entry and bill data in early prior to that. Can you go to the next screen? So we do have support for the trade during this outage window and after the outage when we start processing ACE, air, manifest, along with the other 3 manifest systems. We have been doing this since January, so we think the impact to the other modes should be minimal. We are not deploying any new code this weekend, so that should minimize any changes or updates. It is a strictly a database work to align the database in ACE with that in AMS so that we can move forward. The trade's first contact point should be their client reps. If it is a business hour and Monday at 3 o'clock and your client rep is staffed, you should contact them first to report any issues or problems. They are trained to deal with those. If, on the other hand, you cannot reach your client reps, we ask any emergency issues be referred to the Cbp Helpdesk. The Cbp Helpdesk will be aware that any calls for manifest during this time should be transmitted to a war room that we've established here at headquarters that is staffed by OFO representatives, client reps, technical SMEs, for 24 hours a day for up till Thursday. So any issues that you're having after the fact, you should use this route. The reason we're asking you to contact the help desk first for emergency issues, meaning you can't move cargo, you can't send in data, you're not getting a response to move cargo. Any of those issues, treat it as an emergency for the first week and contact immediately the help desk and have them put you in contact with the war room. Any non-emergency issues, something you think should be but you're not sure that can wait, please send an email to the ACE Service Center desk. That inbox will be monitored for 5 days, 24/7, and up to 45 days after deployment, but during normal business hours. So this is where you have a policy operational question. You're having some concerns about maybe post-processing with inbounds or something else that is not an emergency, must be fixed now with the system. You can use that address to go to, or your client reps are also a good resource. Could you go to the next page, please? So we have been having trade calls with A4A, the Express Association of America, IATA, and various carriers and vendors since we started certification, but heavily since we have been in this extended testing phase. These are the fixes or issues that we have found since we started cert testing. If you look at them, they are there for your reference, but every single one that says insert has been fixed. You can go all the way down, and are in production. The ones that near the end of the list, there's should be 9 or 11 issues that are not addressed or fixed. That will say increment 10, sprint 4, sprint 2, sprint 3. What that means is anything with sprint 3, sprint 2 would be right now. So anything with 2 or 3 will be fixed immediately after go live. Anything with 4 or 5 in it is out 2 or 4 weeks from June 7th date. So anything you see that's an issue that's saying post-June deployment and it has a 4, 5, or 6 on it, those are the ones we need to know if you think that is causing you a concern or a problem. Please raise that to CBP so we can reprioritize the fixes. We will work on these fixes as soon as we have completed a successful deployment of the ACE Air Code. Obviously, our priority is going to be any issue that we encounter that is causing a delay on the movement of cargo at the airports after June 7th. But we will work on these ones that we haven't addressed yet in priority order as soon as possible after go live. Is there anything? I will say this also, after ACE comes up, QPWP should be the ABI air inbound application that is being used. QXWX goes away. If you send one in, it should return an error to you saying use QPWP for your air inbounds. Also, you should be of note that any ABI queries done on air bills should use CQ query instead of IN as of Sunday, June 7th. that is all we have. We have done extensive outreach with the ports, including a muster, a CAMS message that's gone out that talked about the changeover. We have extensively trained officers. We've trained here at headquarters over 100 people that were used as train the trainers that went back out to the field. We are going to on-site support for 9 airports around the country. And that had gone out in a CSM message to the Air Manifest group yesterday. So we are doing the largest airports for air volume around the country. We have the war room in place not only for the trade, but for the field during this cutover for that week. So any operation or policy questions coming from the field will be addressed real time as soon as they have asked a question of our office. So we have done extensive outreach to the ports, the field offices. We've had DFO calls with the district field offices, the ports, to address not only the go-live issues with making sure they have system access, that their workstations are hooked up to ACE, but that they also know how to handle the cargo during the outage window. ACAS will still be accepted during the outage window, still be processed, still be evaluated for security purposes. So we are stressing the enforcement actions for law enforcement purposes should continue. But the emphasis will be to move cargo during the outage window and not delay processing over Saturday night, Sunday morning. So you should not see a problem there. If you experience one, obviously reach out to your client rep or open the ticket. Okay. We'll take questions now, but please send anything in that you want to ask. Now is your chance. This webinar will be posted after the event, and they should send out a CSM message on that. I believe it's on the website. Okay, go ahead.
All right. If live animals, by the way, I'm Gary Schruffler. If live animals, human remains, personally denied during the outage, and need to be released going live, we are just going to let this go. These sorts of things were specifically mentioned by senior management on the OFO side. We are not going to stop the movement of perishable. Anything on that list is going to be, we're going to let it go. It's not a national security issue, so I wouldn't worry about those at all. In some ports, we're trying to not do paper, so once we know what it is, we'll just let it go, and we'll catch everything up after the fact. Well, about as close as I can get. Okay. CBP has advised perishables will not be held, but what about APHIS? OFO has stated that they have worked and reached out to the PGAs, so we expect that they will also be on board with this as well. After this call, I'll get back to OFO just to let them know this question and concern exists, and just make sure that we follow through on that. On Friday, should we hold off transmitting any air entries for the weekend? I would say submit as many as you can on Friday, quite the opposite. The more that's in the system and processed before the downtime, the more releases, whatever you will have that you need to get, you will have.
So ACS entries, except for the 2-hour window on Saturday afternoon, should be up and running the whole weekend. And they should process as normally, sending out the releases. SE, any participants that use SE for their transmission, SE will be up and running. But because of the way SE is designed, it is not designed to kick off the releases until the bill match happens. Obviously, if you have the bill on file prior to 3 p.m., that match will happen. We will see the bill because it'll be in our system. If it comes in during the outage window from 3 p.m. to 5 a.m., it will not see that. So SE will not generate a release until we come back up out of that window and process the bill data.
After ACE becomes a system of record, if an ACS entry is transmitted but logged and responded to in the ACE environment, will a true 7501 be generated from the broker's ACS, and will post-entry against that entry be filed in ACS?
Will be filed in the ACE.
Yes. All I can say is this: we're not altering the entry systems in ACS. We're not altering the ABI. So my gut would tell me, and it's an ample gut, that however you do it now, it's not going to change with ACE.
So ACS entry summary, ACE entry summary, SE has all been changed, the interfaces to talk to ACE AIR. So everything you expect in AMS is going to happen in AIR AMS or AIR ACE as well. There should be no change to entry filing practices or process.
Well, here's a lengthy one. Being that house airway bill data must be on file at least 4 hours prior to arrival, we transmit details the night prior to arrival. Due to this scheduled downtime, we will be unable to do so. You can still transmit whenever you want. It'll just be held in a queue, but you can still transmit. All right, if we transmit while the system is down, will it be accepted once the system is back up? The answer is yes. Everything that comes into the downtime will simply be held in a queue. Once it comes up, we will immediately begin to process the queue. It's basically a FIFO system, but everything will be processed. We hope that within an hour, hour and a half of coming up, everything in the queue will be cleared and we'll be back to real-time processing. And if there is an issue with the date and it is rejected, will there be leniency? Well, we are not going to write penalties for anything transmitted during this time frame. That was an absolute statement from the executive director over with OFO CCS. So that's not something you'll need to worry about, is penalties.
Related to the 4-hour time window. Go ahead.
Yeah, related to that, right. Okay, why are production filers getting rejections on EPTs for the new FC11 fields for split bills today? I do not know. I did not know that's happening. If there's a problem, contact the trouble desk, have a ticket created, and we can look at it. It's not related to ACE, I don't think.
There was a change to require a complete flight information on FTZ submissions or into a zone. So that could be related to this. Again, I would open a ticket or work through your client rep to discover what the reason is for that.
Can you please confirm when the EPTT changes will be going into effect? It appears they were pushed this week without warning, but can you confirm? Nobody warned us either, so we'll have to take that back. I haven't heard that myself. I would hope that I would have known if that had happened, but I don't know. We'll find out and get back. As a freight forwarder, will I see delays in getting a 1C? Yes, with all the caveats mentioned above. And if so, can I move my freight to meet my customer requirements regardless of a 1C? What OFO has told all the ports is that we will continue to look at security and like narcotic type stuff. But for trade related issues, we'll just take the hit, if you would. We will not stop the flow of legitimate cargo. It will be allowed to move on. So that's the best answer I can give. So, obviously we're going to always say we reserve the right if a dog hits on something or whatever. Of course, it's going to be stopped. But barring things like that, legitimate cargo, trade issues, we're just going to let it go. We're not going to stop cargo, let it pile up. When will the changes in the spreadsheet marked as insert be in production? This weekend. I am interested in the fix to FSQ query item number 6.
They're already in production now. We deployed them.
Well, yeah.
You'll see the effect when we go live.
Right,
correct.
that's what I meant, right. So yeah, cert means it's fixed, it's deployed, and We have tested it in CERT. It worked with our, with our trading partners that are testing with us, and so it is ready to go. Best I can say.
Can you go to line item number 6, which is the one she says she's interested in?
Let's see what that was. So FSQ messages resulting in error 999, FSQ message rejected, 097 invalid. Please call client rep. Yeah, we didn't like that either because we felt there might be just one or two too many phone calls coming into client reps. So we did address, and that is resolved.
And you should see that effect in CERT right now if you're testing it.
So that's all the questions that we have at the moment. We might give a couple more minutes for any more questions. Otherwise, we'll give you the rest of your afternoon back. Oh, here's one. Okay, kind of a big one. We submit an AMS in the courier environment. When processing air AMS submissions currently, we receive a response that the house bills are not only submitted, but on file. Is that in air AMS? I don't think so. Anyways, I have to get back. Anyway, our AMS vendor tells us that we will not know now whether it is on file or not, as the FSQ they sent shortly after our submission. This is that bug.
Yeah, so go to the bottom of the list. Can you go to?
I know what you're getting at on this one. It's bug, I think it's line 62 or 64. 62. Which one was that? I can't remember exactly what it is.
We don't have it on this list. It's actually 66 or 65.
Yeah, it didn't make this list. Linda, we know this issue. We're working to correct it. At first, I wasn't understanding it until I read further.
So the FSQ does not return a response until the master airway bill is on file with the house bill. It cannot find it because of the way they've written it into ACE. So we know that issue, but it has no downstream impact on us. We've offered one solution that could be quick, but it's all or nothing, which is we could generate the bill on file message immediately upon receipt of the bill. We actually write it now to the transaction log, but do not send it. We are going to address both that positive change and a fix for the query, so it returns a valid response.
All right, next question. Is USDA on board? Again, OFO has reached out to all of the PGAs, and so yes, they are aware. It's best I can tell you. It seems that the FSQ is not working for freight forwarders, the house bills. For advanced house bills, there are issues. That's part of the above question that we just answered. There's a known bug on that, and we're working to resolve that as quick as we can. It obviously won't be resolved on June 7th, but it is a priority to get resolved as quick as we can. Thanks, Bill. When will it be fixed? I think I just answered that. As quickly as we can after deployment. It won't be fixed for June 7th. It will be fixed as quickly as possible. It's one of the higher priorities. Many times the airlines do not nominate us until after arrival. What can we do after arrival? I'm not sure. Bill, do you understand what that question is?
Are you asking what can you do before they nominate you?
Yeah, Linda, can you make that a little clearer? I'm sorry. I mean, if you're not nominated, I'm not sure.
Oh.
Skip straight to Linda's first. Oh, okay, yeah. So like I say, hopefully when we get this fixed, all the other issues and concerns that arise from this not working will of course become OBE. So again, we understand it's an issue. We're going to try to get it fixed as quick as we can. And then go back to that. Oh, that was that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. When will it be fixed? Yeah, as quick as we can. And I'm not just saying that to blow you up. I really mean it. We know this is an issue, and it's teed up, and we want to get this fixed. We're not looking to stop the flow of cargo on this. So right now there are no other questions.
So you were much nicer to us than the field, which we talked to for 2 hours yesterday.
I like talking to the trade better than our own people. They beat us up. So I guess that's...
Please keep in mind the contact information after we go live this weekend. The field will have a readability into AMS, but will not be able to perform any functional actions in AMS. They can't arrive, they can't post to a bill in AMS. They'll have to do all their actions in ACE. And if that's not what they're doing, they won't be able to do anything.
Okay, another question came in. Can you talk about split shipment? Sorry, missed some part of the webinar. Yeah, we already talked about it. We moved on, so sorry. Haha. Splits will work better than they do in Area MS. And what I mean by better is that one of the big, if you would, weaknesses in Area MS is that when a shipment is split, the entry is, of course, for the full bill quantity. And when it gets split, the entry that was filed is appended to the first split part. So let's say part A. All the subsequent arriving split parts, B, C, D ad nausea, we have to manually release them. It's a pain for both the trade and for us to have to do that manual process. The way ACE will now work is that the entry that was filed, we will append that release for each subsequently arriving split part so that there will be no more manual processes to release those other arriving split parts. So there should be a vast improvement on the flow of split shipments. I hope that answers your question, Hazel. And nothing else has come in. Give another minute or two and then close up shop. There we go. Another question. Just want to be sure air carriers no longer can send an FSN3, an FSN3 entry. I have to get back. I know we have an ASN3 arrival, but I'm not sure what an FSN3. I think you meant ASN3, which is an arrival of an inbound. And if my assumption is correct, Evan, the answer is yes, you can still send ASN3, ASN7s to arrive and export inbounds. Otherwise, I have no idea what FSN3 means. You're welcome, Hazel. Will I be able to, another question, will I be able to do an IT within my port? Will ACE accommodate this function? When you say within my port, the literal answer is no. An IT is from one port to another port. Can you do a permit to transfer? The answer would be yes.
So that brings up a good point, though. One of the issues that we have that you'll see that's being addressed is if a bill is not on file at the time of the flight arrival, so you have not submitted a bill, you submit a bill after flight has been arrived and try to nominate or try to put a 63 IE inbound on it, it will not work. We understand that. You'll see it in the list. There's two workarounds for that. One is to put the bill on file and take it to CBP to add the 63 inbound, or you have to add the T&E 63 inbound separately from the bill create. So it's got to be a two-step process. We are addressing that.
Okay, new questions. How long will it take for ACE to process the messages on queue, including error manifests being reported? Again, we hope to have the queues cleared out within an hour and a half of going live and be, at that point, live processing. The next one, does the broker need to submit any documents manually for an air split since CBP no. Again, we're getting out of the manual and the paper everything. If the entry was sent electronically to that bill, then that entry will be appended to all the arriving split parts. There's no need for paper at all unless it's a non-ABI entry, and then it's just for that one-time input into the system. As far as ACE goes, no paper required or desired. Okay, so that ASN 3 thing, okay, so arrival of freight notice, I'm assuming, Edgar, you mean reporting arrival into a warehouse or that kind of thing? And the answer is yes, they can. Yes, they mean yes, the carriers can still send that, just like today. We didn't eliminate those with ACE. New question, will I be able to transmit an inbound on a bill that is located at a non-AMS facility today? The answer is yes. We are no longer recognizing that concept of a non-automated facility in that we are fully automated and the carriers are fully automated. Therefore, bills will not close anymore until they're entered at full bill quantity or exported at full bill quantity or zones, et cetera, et cetera. And then to this, an inbound, if you're sending that inbound to a CBP port of entry, regardless of what the slash firms code is automated or not, yes, you can send that electronically. You no longer have to bring us paper for that. Okay. During the downtime, cargo will flow except serious security target cargo, and I'll add if the dog, picks up something. Based on what can we release the cargo to the customer who is picking up the cargo? Again, each port will set up and work with the industry to allow cargo to move, because every port has slightly different issues involved. There's no way for me to answer that at a national level as much as you guys would want to hear that, but I can assure you from very senior levels of OFO and CBP management down to the field, they've been apprised of this. They understand the concept. They're going to work with the trade to get cargo moving and not stacked up somewhere. Next, please. Please confirm that during the outage, an air carrier will be allowed to deliver cargo without again, same question over and over. The field office, OFO, rather, has contacted every director field operations, every assistant director field operations. We've had webinars with everybody in the field, and the answer is legitimate cargo will not be forced to stack up. We will allow it to go. To confirm, the entries filed at ACS, we still do not have to request getting the split posted. No. Again, once the entry is filed, ACE will append it to all the arriving parts, regardless of where and how the entry is filed. If it's assumed, of course, full bill entry, blah, blah, blah. Does the airline still need to submit a paper manifest? No. In fact, we've told the ports do not go to paper for the sake of paper. So the answer to that would be, Paul, no. We're not going to ask you for, especially imagine asking an express courier with 50,000 houses, print the paper. We're not going to do that. Okay? How about the slack count? If it is by pallet, not, okay, first off, it cannot be by pallet by law because of the Trade Act of 2004. You can't use shipper load and count. That's specifically spelled for in the Trade Act of 2004. So I'm going to pretend like I didn't read that. It should be reported at the lowest external unit of measurement, which would be in your question, cartons. And I wouldn't even mention your name there. Okay. Next one. After the 1 to 1.5 hour estimated processing time for clearing the queue, will a new CSM message be sent out to the trade, informing them that all bills have been processed, helping them know how to react or not react prematurely when not seeing response to their bill?
Yes.
Yes. Yep, there you have it. I meant it shows manifested by pallet, so if we clear by cartons, it won't show released. That's a current problem. That's ACE isn't going to fix this because you have a violation of regs. They can't be transmitted by pallet. If the entry is for carton, that causes a problem that besides will and should result in a penalty of some sort, is going to require coming to the customs house while we try to figure out what's going on. The solution is quit manifesting by pallet count and do it in accordance with the statute. I know that sounds snarky, but really, I can't use ACE to fix that kind of thing. It's got to be manifested in accordance with the regulations. We have to fax airway bill to airline to input Slack. I don't know what to say to that, because this is a workaround for a Trade Act violation. I think that the focus should be that everybody is transmitting the correct piece count, which is carton, not pallet loads. I really can't say it any better than that. Can we expect each port to communicate their downtime procedure before Saturday? Each port's going to handle that differently. They're going to, I believe, send out pipelines and that sort of, communications. So I hope that you'll see something, by tomorrow. Okay, I got a amen. I guess that's a good thing. And can you please go over split air shipment, customs broker's point of view, where we are summary but ACS release. Whether it's released by summary, by non-ABI, by IBI, it doesn't matter. It's a split shipment. It's an airway bill that the carrier split. The broker usually isn't aware of that. You have a bill of lading that you file a full bill quantity entry on. AirAMS didn't handle that well. ACE will. I think we're over, maybe I haven't said it right, because there's way more confusion than I think there should be, in that once that entry is posted to that bill, the non-split bill, once the airline splits it, we will append that entry to all of the arriving split parts and eliminate the current manual processes that exist. That's what I'm trying to say. We've eliminated that manual process, and every port did it differently. Some wanted paper, some could just look it up and see it and release it themselves. Regardless of that, it's resolved. If a split has 2 ITs on a split, will paper still be needed to be submitted? No. Again, each split in ACE will be a unique bill of lading if they're at different ports, and they can move on their own ITs through the transfer line for each arriving split part. You can still do on that arriving flight where the split's been transmitted, you can still submit a transfer line for that specific split part for that boarded quantity, and it will move inbound electronically. You won't have to do paper on it. Okay, I can catch my breath, there's a pause. I'll let everybody here decide how long. Oh, okay. Next, another question. Next steps on ACE. Any plans for an ACAS webinar? That's OFO. I can't really speak to that here. I know they're going to talk about it, but when, how, where, that's outside of us. That's under OFO. Other than, there will be discussions on that coming up, I know.
So we are strictly for manifest side, leaving off the page all the entry and PGA work that's going on. But for manifest, we should probably be working on, if air goes good and we're able to transition, we will be on truck refactoring. So we're going to move truck into the multimodal platform as well with all the other manifests. So that's what our plan is going forward after air.
Again, we're still on the split in the entries. When you say append the release of the split, no. I'm saying we'll append the entry to each arriving split part. So part A arrives, it's released. Part B arrives, it's released. You notice you don't have to do anything. Split part C arrives, it's released. ACE will submit or append or attach or whatever the 1C to each arriving split part. I'm at a loss to how to say that better, and I'm kind of kicking myself that that I'm not being clear. But entries filed, all the arriving split parts will be released off that entry without any further action taken. I hope that makes it better. And then I think the last question is, and I like it, good luck everyone, Good work, gentlemen. That's a heck of a way to end this. Thank you, Morris, and good luck to all of you too. And like I say, we'll be here full time for the next several days to make sure that this works and that you have the assistance you need.
That's all. Thank you for joining us. This webinar will be posted after the fact, and we will follow up with CSM messages. Just to be sure, there are CSM messages put out yesterday or today resulting with communications on the specifics for the outage window on Saturday. We sent out ones for the air group, the ocean truck and rail, and ABI as well. And we also sent that information to the field.